Hi, I'm Sarah and I'm one of the team members here at Imagineer. And I'm here in this video to share a little bit of my story. And I was thinking about which bits of my story I wanted to share because I didn't want it to be a long video. And I decided I would focus on how I came about working in the health and social care sector as my career path. So I was casting my mind back a little bit and just kind of thinking, when did I really decide that that's what I wanted to do with my life? And that was what I was really passionate about. And I think casting my mind back, it goes back as far as when I was about probably 12 or 13 years old. And my parents used to take me and my brothers on holidays in the Lake District, and we would stay in guest houses, B&B type small hotel type places, and there would be other families staying there as well at the same time, and we would get together and go off in groups and do fun activities in the outdoors and visit the lakes and the mountains and the woods and do all of those kind of cool lovely outdoorsy things. But there was one family in particular that we met one year, and they were I suppose at the time I would have seen them as younger than my parents, a young couple, and they had adopted a boy and a girl who weren't natural brother and sister. So they'd adopted the boy first, and then a little bit later on they'd adopted the girl. But both of these children, who were very young at the time, probably I'd say 5 or 6 years old, both had significant physical disabilities, differently. They were both essential wheelchair users, both had mobility difficulties, both required full personal care and support to get about and join in with life generally. But myself and my brothers got friendly with them. We got friendly with the other family. My mum and dad got on with the parents, and we would hang out together and go around and do holiday stuff together. And that was really my first experience personally of being around somebody living with a disability. And because we were sort of together as families doing fun stuff and family sort of centered stuff together, I really noticed which elements of the stuff we were doing were not accessible to the boy and the girl that we were friends with. And that really set my brain off on a train of, I want to do something about that. That's not fair. And maybe in the future, I could do something like that in my job. And I didn't really know how to articulate that at the time. And I went on this bit of a journey of exploration, trying to work out what I wanted to do for a career. I went to see a careers advisor at school, and then it came time to start looking for work experience placements. And so I did a couple of placements related to physiotherapy and occupational therapy, which I really enjoyed. And at the time I thought perhaps I might be interested in training as an occupational therapist. So initially that was what I explored as a university option, but life circumstances change, and that's not what I ended up doing. And my first job when I left school was working in a special school as a teaching assistant. So I found myself again working with children and young people with a whole range of additional needs, not just physical disabilities, but learning disabilities too. And many of the young people I worked with also had autism spectrum diagnosis, and a whole range of complex difficulties, which meant that accessing a mainstream school was just not possible for them. And they needed a lot of accommodations and adaptations to be able to learn and to socialize with their peers and really understand what was going on in the world around them. And this was building my understanding of what the world was like for some of the people in our society who aren't able to access it in the same way that I was. So my journey of discovery continued, and a little later on I decided I would go to university. And by this point, I'd sort of explored the possibility of training as a learning disability nurse. So I started on the pathway of nurse training, and in my first year, I did some really good placements in different settings, working with people and children and young people as well with learning disabilities. And I learned a lot. But I also saw a lot of things I didn't agree with, and I didn't like, and I didn't feel quite comfortable with. And so there was always this niggle going on. So uni passed, and then the next thing was getting a job. So I started to work in the social care sector at that point, not as a registered nurse, because I hadn't actually completed my nursing degree in the end due to life circumstances, but I moved into social care, and my first role was working in registered childcare settings. So these were residential children's homes that were regulated, and with large staff teams looking after groups of children, young people living in the services. And I really enjoyed that work. It was challenging at times, but I quickly developed and moved into a management position after a few years, and at the age of 26 had my first registered children's home that I was overseeing. I became a registered manager for the first time, and that brought a whole new skill set and learning to do around, it was effectively managing a small business, managing a staff team, managing budgets, as well as overseeing the care and support of the young people that were living in that service. And then I stayed there for a little while, and then I moved on to working in adult social care. And my first role in the Dorset area was to work on a project moving adults with learning disabilities and other complex needs out of long stay hospital environments where they'd lived for many years, and into their own homes in the local community. And so that was a brand new service. So I was involved in setting up everything, recruiting the staff, training the staff, and then working alongside each of the people who were going to be moving out of hospital, so that they could have a home identified for them, with the right support around them, access to their local community, their families were able to be involved. And that was really my first experience of what I would call authentic person-centred planning. And I really started to see the value of working with the person in the centre, and involving their family and all the people that know them really well, to really understand what good support looks like for the person, not just listening to the professionals that have been involved in caring for them, but actually the people that know them best on a personal level. And that really drove my quest for, there's got to be a different way of doing this, because I was working in service land and I really didn't enjoy it. I felt conflicted a lot of the time. I felt very challenged by what I saw working in support provider services. And so over the years, I had a few different roles in developing services, setting up new services, and overseeing referrals and assessments for people who required support. But always there was this niggle of, it doesn't feel quite right, doesn't sit quite right with me. So eventually I took the leap and became self-employed and started my adventure with Imagineer. So I now work as an independent support broker. I'm one of the directors at Imagineer, and I also do consultancy work outside of my role with Imagineer, doing lots of different things across the health and social care sector. I do a little bit of advocacy work with children and young people with additional needs, and it's given me a really broad range of experience, but crucially I've been able to focus my passion and my efforts on work that really has a purpose and has value and feels like it's making a difference in people's lives. So I just wanted to share a little bit of my story to encourage you if you're considering a career in health and social care. Maybe you've heard negative things about it. I have to say, although it's been challenging at times, I've learned so much and I've worked in so many different places, and my experience is massive now. And I feel like I'm still learning all the time. And I have opportunities to develop new skills all the time. I deliver training now. I am overseeing marketing and social media and communications for Imagineer. So I've developed my skills around websites and social media platforms and YouTube, and all of these things have come as a result of that initial decision to pursue work in an area which would help to make the world a better place for people. So please do consider it and spread your net wide, connect with as many people as you can, have conversations, ask questions, and really explore, because it's such a great sector to work in and it's so rewarding. I hope that's been helpful. Thanks for listening.